talk about the quarterbacks. In the first group, one team is Sam Hartman, Michael Penix Jr., and Bo Nix. And let's start there, and I'll ask you this. This is the question I asked Felicia yesterday. How important is it that Jim Nagy, the director, put Bo Nix and Michael Penix on the same team so you can see those reps back-to-back?
Yeah, and that's why they do that. They don't divide, especially the quarterback position. Jim Nagy does a phenomenal job of trying to accommodate the scouts. So if Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. are battling for a spot on who could potentially go in the first round, or teams want to see these two stacked together, as an evaluator, you get more from watching practice when you see them throwing back-to-back than you do if they were on opposite teams for the game. So the most important part of this whole process is these players competing during practice. The game, everybody will go back to the office. They don't stay for the game, watch the game on tape, see if anything clear.
I'll be here at the game.
Oh, yeah, you'll be here at the game just because you get to go to the Super Bowl. So some of us have to go home, but that's a whole other story. So anyway, but the most important part is the one-on-one drills, and for the scouts and the coaches and everybody here as talent evaluators, getting to see these guys perform one last time in pads before you get into the pre-draft T-shirt and short part of the process.
You talked about it all last spring during our Pro Day tour, how important it is to see these players in person. I told you early on when I think this is the national team was warming up, Michael Penix Jr., I said, take a look at his hands. It looks like ET. His hands are so long, 10 inches and 3/8, which is, if you don't know, that's enormous for anyone's hands, much less quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett had sub-9 hands, and that was the concern. Joe Burrow had around 9-inch hands. That was considered too small. Obviously, it doesn't necessarily determine whether he can be a good quarterback or not. I said it earlier today in HQ and yesterday with Lige. I thought this quarterback class has looked pretty crisp. I haven't had a lot of things I can point to and say, oh, that's clearly a concern. The inaccuracy is showing itself. The indecision making is making it itself known. I haven't had any of those issues. Anything you stand out in day one of practice for you?
Yeah, no, well, day two of practice for me. My day one, your day two. But I thought, just in general, like we talked about earlier, this quarterback class is way more talented just on what I've seen. You do all this evaluation that we've done during the fall. You watch all the tape, but it's great to come out and verify what you've seen on tape. One of the things that really stuck out to me on Michael Penix Jr., even though he had some misses, is just the natural arm talent and how easy the ball comes off of his, as you put it, ET hands, which I've never heard before. But
just came to me.
Yeah, that's a great scouting term.
There you go. You're welcome.
Boy, let me write that down.
Yeah, make a note. I'll text it to you.
But Bo Nix, I think, was impressive. I still have some issues on him. Sorry, that's Michael Penix Jr.
No, Bo Nix. I just saw your watch. I didn't like what you're about to say.
So, but
what are your issues with Bo Nix? Because I think he's
athletic. I think he has enough arm talent. I just want to see him have to process from the pocket. I think he can make plays off schedule and outside the pocket. I just want to see him, if he has to sit there, read and get through his progressions, how quickly he can do that.
Okay.
So the guy that probably was a drop for me today was Sam Hartman, the receiver or the quarterback from Notre Dame.
Can I tell you why for people listening before you tell us why?
Okay.
Because I said to you while they were taking a break, I said, look at Sam Hartman out there talking to some of the media members. Are you jealous that his tastes better than your hair? And you immediately you took out your red pen and started making marks next to his name. So go ahead, tell us why you put him as a drop today.
Okay, well, let's see when he gets my age, if he still has hair.
There
we'll
it is.
From there, because some people do not have hair.
How dare you, sir.
That are actually younger than me. So,
all right, sorry I brought it up. Go ahead, tell us really why he's a drop.
I just think when you watch Bo Nix, the ball come out of his hands, when you watch Michael Penix Jr. and the ball come out of his hands, I just didn't see that same zip coming out of Hartman's.
But we knew that coming in, though, right?
But it just verified it just there watching. And the one thing I know is that he is a touch, timing, and rhythm thrower.
Yeah.
And when you haven't worked with this group of receivers or this group of tight ends, sometimes that touch and timing is going to look a little off until you get that rhythm. But as far as comparing him to the other two, I thought he was behind those guys and what I saw today.
No, I agree with that. I thought he actually showed some touch on the deep balls and the one-on-ones with the receivers and the DBs. But again, I don't know how much stock you can put into that. New receivers, new system, few handful of practices you're trying to sort through. But it didn't strike me that he was out of place. You didn't think that?
No,
either.
he's not out of place. I'm just saying you got two pretty good quarterbacks on the same team, and when you're, like I said earlier, you're evaluating and you're doing Penix Jr. and you're doing Bo Nix, and then you got Hartman behind him.
Right. So in terms of last year's draft class, would you take Hartman over Aiden O'Connell, or where does he slot in?
I think he's right in that range
that feels
because
right.
Aiden O'Connell was a touch timing thrower,
Yeah.
you know, and even when you watched him and played pretty good for the Las Vegas Raiders as a rookie, he's not a great athlete. I thought Sam Hartman was a little bit better mover, but I wouldn't put him in a class of defensive coordinators who are going to be up at night, trying to make sure that he doesn't beat them with their legs at the next level. But similar traits as far as arm strength, as far as being that touch timing rhythm type thrower.
Yeah, and he actually showed a little athleticism here that we saw at Notre Dame this season, but not maybe as frequently as he would have liked anyway. All right, let's go to the other side and talk about those quarterbacks. I mean, this group, I don't want to say they're getting second shrift because everything's about Penix and Nix, but Spencer Rattler, Michael Pratt, Joe Milton III, and Carl Bradley, who's Gus Bradley's son, South Alabama quarterback. All these guys can sling it.
Yeah, they all were impressive today, and I haven't seen Coach Bradley's son on tape, and I was very impressed with the way the ball came off of his hand today, and some of the accuracy in the one-on-one and some of the 7-on-7 drills that we've seen. I thought all the quarterbacks on this side, there's no question about the arm talent. Spencer Rattler, me and you having a disagreement. You want to draft him in the top 10. I would draft him in the bottom 10 of the. No, I'm just kidding.
Is he a day 2 guy for you? Seriously?
I think this will be a big week for him
because he's only 6 feet,
right,
and change.
But I love the way the ball came out of his hands.
Yes,
and he does have the arm strength to make all the throws necessary at the NFL level. I just still question his decision processing.
No, that's fair.
And that's the one thing that I think down here yesterday. I read, and you told me that he threw an interception.
The team drills,
yeah, and he took care of the ball better today. But there's something you can't turn the ball over at the next level, and that is one thing that I think has held him back from maybe creeping up into top 4 or 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, arm talent he probably is, but the other part of the process, and I don't know. We haven't interviewed him. I don't know what's going on in the interviews at night. Why he's making some of those decisions that he makes on college tape, but I'm sure teams are trying to get to the bottom of it.
If I had to guess, it's because the offensive line stunk, and there's one player he could throw the ball to. It was that or nothing. And you're playing in the SEC, and you're outmanned. That'd be my answer if I'm him.
Yeah.
What do you say to that? If that's what I tell you.
Are you his agent?
No, if I'm in the interview,
then you're making excuses. So.
We talked about Michael Pratt in the fall. I think just as a quarterback, we were going to go over, and we liked him but didn't love him. I get a different sense of who he is. Maybe he's healthier. He had some injuries he dealt with early in the year, missed some games. He's looked pretty sharp.
Yeah, no, he's had a good, at least today, what I saw live. His arm was better than I anticipated.
Yeah, for sure.
He does come up, the ball comes off. He had some very good accuracy on some of the throws he made. So I thought he looked better in person than what I seen on college tape earlier this year.
And finally, Joe Milton, who we haven't really talked about, and I think that might be a good thing in the same way when you don't talk about the refs, that's a good thing during the game. The ball hasn't been misfiring, which is one of the things that plagued him in his college career. The arm strength is through the roof. Yesterday at practice, the Senior Bowl timed him at 76 miles an hour throwing the football, which is bonkers. That's a Little League World Series fastball. That's how hard that thing is. Do you feel better about where he is in his pre-draft journey?
Well, I got an opportunity to see him play live versus Alabama this year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I think he was underrated as an athlete. There's no question about the size. I think the arm talent is he probably has the biggest cannon, hose, whatever you want to term, strongest arm. I don't know about his touch and timing at times.
Yeah.
And even when I watched him live and I seen some of it in today's team period, there's just some hesitation in his C to do on trying to process through the coverages he's trying to read. And
unlike Anthony Richardson a year ago, he'd only started 13 games or whatever that number ended up being when he left Florida. Joe Milton's been around the block. He was at Michigan. Then he transferred to Tennessee. So he's played some football games. So that's, I would imagine, also part of the evaluation process that he's not chicken when it comes to college football games.
No, and he has, like I said, he's bounced around but yeah, if you're trying to say that he's the same athlete that
No, just in terms of the big arm, but one is long on experience, one is short on college experience.
Yeah, but how many games has he started? I'm asking.
I don't know.
So,
if you'd asked me before the podcast, I'd looked it up.
I mean, he started this year at Tennessee, but
yeah,
he hasn't been a starter through his career, has he?
No, that's why he left Michigan. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So I think he's just a one-year guy as well.
Okay, so you'll cut him a break, even though he's 3 or 4 years older, however much older he is than Anthony Richardson.
Right. Yeah. And the reason is, I think, as evaluators, we used to be concerned when they became 24, 25 years old,
right,
at the quarterback position, because then it's like, by the time they develop, they're going to be 28, 29 years old. Well, with the new rules in the NFL, with the safety rules on how they protect the quarterback, these guys are playing a lot longer. You're seeing guys not even hit their peak sometime to the early 30s and playing at a high level into the late 30s. So I don't think it is a big of issue as maybe it was 7, 8 years ago.
Debo on the spot, 21 college starts for Joe Milton. So not a ton.
No.
A handful more than.
Is Debo not allowed to talk to me either? That's why he's communicating with you and I don't have a headset on today?
He specifically asked that he didn't want to talk to you. He's mad at you for not being back full time. But that's coming. Don't fret.